Hello guys, in this video we'll be diving in deeper into what lists are, talking about list method as well as list comprehension. So I know for some of us, or you might not know what list methods or list comprehension are, but just pay attention to the video, and by the end of this hopefully you have a robust understanding of what list methods as well as list comprehension are all about. So first and foremost, if you haven't watched the last video, that is about data structures, the various type of data collections that we have in Python, click on the link above so you can get to see that before going on with this. However, if you're confident with your pre-existing knowledge, then let's get right onto today's business. So like I said earlier in the last video, a list is one of the data collection types that we have in Python, or better still, you could call it a data structure. So these are methods or like ways in which data can be aggregated together and stored together as one, assigning it to a particular variable. So we have various data types like the tuple, like the list, dictionary, set, etc. So but in this video we're talking largely on the list. So a list is one of the properties, or like the properties that we have is like a list is indexed. A list is indexed, it is ordered or can be ordered, and it is mutable, or like changeable. So what this means by index is that the list has, or every element in a list has a position, okay, and that is a requisite for the ordering. That means it can be reversed, it can be whichever way you want to like order your list, you can sort it. Then the whole mutable thing or changeable means that a particular element in a position can be replaced. So moving on, a very strong type or descriptor, rather, a descriptor for a list is the square brackets that we have. So wherever you see a square bracket in the Python code base or block of code, you should always know that that is a list. So if we are creating a list, this is a square bracket. This means an empty list. So if we are assigning it to a variable, let's call it temp. So this is an empty list. Alright, we could check the length of this list by wrapping the len around it, and we get the length or value of 0. So this list has some attributes called methods. So this attribute or this method allows for manipulation of a list. So for instance, there are attributes that allows us to add to it, the attributes that allows us to remove from a list, etc. So like moving on to what list methods are, like I described earlier, list methods are attribute that allows for manipulation of the list itself. So let's create a list of names, for instance. So we have Philip here, we have Charles, we have Kit, we have section. Alright, so we have a list of them. Now if we try checking the length of this list, we're getting 4 because there are 4 elements right inside Philip, Charles, and Kit and section. So even though there are 4 elements there, the available positions ranges from 0 to 3. So those are like the possible available positions right there. So we check names, position 0, and this has to do with the indexation of the list names. So this particular list with the variable names, no pun intended, I mean you can see that already. So if we check the position 0, we get Philip. Position 1, we get Charles. Position 3, we get Saksham. However, if we check for position 4, we'll get an error that tells us like list index out of range. So that is to tell us like every element in the list has its own position, and the position, or like the counting system of the position, starts from value 0. Always remember that it starts from 0. The counting system starts from 0. So even though the length is 4, the numbers of position there ranges from 0 to 4 minus 1, which is 3. So yeah, the list methods that I'll be talking about in this video, so I have them written down here. Let me show you. We have the append method, we have the extend method, we have insert method, we also have the remove method, we also have the index method as well, and we have the count method, we have the pop method, we have the reverse method, we have the sort method, we have the copy method, and we have the copy, and we have the clear method. So we'll check each of these methods one by one. Shouldn't take us so much time to go through. So going with the first one, append. So what exactly is the append method all about? The append method is a list attribute that allows us to add one single, or like perhaps to a single element to the end of our list. So what that means is that if we have an empty list, let's say fruits, this is an empty list. Now if you call fruit, you get this. However, if we want to append to it or add an element, we could say let's say mango, for instance. Apologies. Alright, so now if we check fruits again, now we can see mango right there. So if we are appending something else, apple, then calling fruit again, we can see both mango and apple are there in the list. So that is what we have as under the append list method. So moving on to the next list method we have here is the extend lists method. So the extend list method is quite different from the append in the sense that the extend adds to the list. However, it's in a different way. It's taking a list as the argument now. So what this means is that if you have two lists together, you can extend one list with the content of another. So let's say we have a list here already, fruits. Okay, so let's say we have another list that is called other fruits, or let's call it other lists, and this one contains let's say cashew, tomato, okay, pineapple. All right, so let's say we have other list. Now we could extend fruits by calling the list method extend, then passing in to the extend method an argument of this order list. So passing the order list into the extend method, we get the fruits this way. So now the fruits from mango apple has been extended to contain the content of other lists. So the cashew, tomato, all of it merged together into one. However, our other list still exists. Okay, it's not going anywhere. This is our other list still exists. However, the content of the other list has been added to fruits to extend its content. So that is what extend is about. It's about, you know, adding the element of a list to another list. So moving on to the next one, we have our insert list method. So the insert list method is pretty much straightforward. It's to help us insert elements into a list, however in a particular index. So we have fruits, or let's create another one. Let's create food. Yeah, let's create, or let's crops. So let's go with crops, and we have rice, let's say maize, yeah, rice, maize, copy. All right. So we have a list with the name crops. If we want to insert into this list, of course append has to the end of the list. So for example, if we are appending to crops, append millet, okay, we get these crops. So millet is positioned at the end of the list. However, if you want to insert, say at the beginning, we could have crops, then calling the insert method. Okay, at what position do we want to insert? Let's say we want to insert at the position 0. Don't forget the position is starts from 0 to, you know, length minus 1. We are inserting at position 0, and what do we want to insert here? Let's say corn. So, and we have, oh sorry, this should be in code. Yeah, so if we call crops now, then we have our corn positioned at the index number 0. So the insert is used for positioning an element in a list at a particular index. So moving on to the next method. We have the remove attribute. So what the remove attribute means largely is to delete an item from a list. So let's say we in this list crops, we want to like remove the item rice. So we could call crops dot remove, and we are passing in rice. And now when we check crops again, rice is no longer available because it has been removed. Yeah, so it's pretty much straightforward like the others as well. So the next one we have here is the index. The index method. So checking our fruits again, let's call our fruit this time around fruits. We have mango, apple, cashew, tomato, pineapple. If we want to check the index of cashew, for example, all we need to do is to call the fruits, then call the index and cashew. Then we get position 2. That means that at position 2 we get cashew. However, one thing we should notice with index is that it returns the smallest index of that element, or better still, it returns the first encounter. So had it been we have multiple instances of the same element present in a list, then it returns the first encounter. What I mean by this is, let's say for the fruits, let's say for the fruits, we appended another element called, let's say, apple again. That means we have two apples. So we have an apple at position 1 and another apple at the rear end. So now if we call fruits dot index and we are passing in the argument apple, it will return the first encounter or the lowest index number or the lowest index of the element right there. So you should always remember that the index returns the first encounter or the lowest or the smallest index of elements in that list. So moving on, we have the count. So the count tool is however straightforward, just like the other ones as well. So using the fruits list, so we have the fruit list here. If we want to count the number of elements right here, for example, let's count the number of count apple. We get it right there, 2. So that means we have 2 apples there. If we check for this app for AP, for example, no, AP is not in the list, that's why we can see 0 here. And for a fruit like mango that are called ones, we get 1. So this works very well to like give us the numbers of occurrence of a particular element in a list. So then onto the next one, we have the pop list method. So what this does exactly is to remove the element at a given index. So however, if no index is given, or it just pops the last one. So let's go back to our crops. We have corn, maize, cowpea and millet. If we call crops and the pop, the last one is popped. So if it is removed or goes away. So if you check the crops now, we have corn, maize and cowpea. However, if index is given, pop, and let's say we are passing the index 0, so corn is removed. So if we call crops again, we have maize and cowpea. So the pop removes an element in a list at the given index. The index that is presented or that is passed into the pop method as an argument is the element at that particular index is removed. So we also have the reverse. List method. So what this does, straightforward, just by its name, is reverses a list. We have the fruits. We have the fruit list. So if we call the fruits the reverse, we check our fruits again. Now we have it reversed. The apple that we have here as the last one became the first, and the mango we have here as the first became the last. So this is more like an inverse of the list. So then we also have the sort method. The sort method is an attribute that allows us to rearrange the elements contained in a list. So once again, we have our fruits here. We want to sort it, let's say, alphabetically. Of course, it's sorted alphabetically by default if you pass no argument to the sort method. So however, of course, the sort method could take in functions like other functions. So if you want to dive in deeper into the sort method, just click on the link above. You can watch that. I explained in details the sort method and how to pass in higher order functions in Python. So do check it out. So fruits.sort, now this sorts it alphabetically. So if you call fruits, okay, fruits, yeah, so we have the apple, cashew, mango, pineapple and tomato. So straight We also have the copy. We have the copy list method. This is used for copying the element of a particular list to another. For example, let's say we have fruits. We have fruits here, and we want to copy the element of this list. Let's say we are creating a new list. Then we could call fruits.copy, and this does a kind of shallow copy to the new one. So if you call new list now, we have the content the same. However, this is different from just this. Let's say other list. This is different from just appending the this is different from just appending the variable names to one another. So this is very different. Other lists is not the same. Other list here is not the same as new list. This is because, for example, if we call new list, or however, if we call fruits now, fruits.pop, okay, if we check fruits, fruit is this, other list is going to be the same. However, new list that we created up there will be different, because what we did was just to get the content at that particular moment, not link the two together as we've done here in other list. Then the last but not the least is declare attribute. So what this means is that, let's say we have the fruit list, we could do a clear which removes all item in the list, and we have an empty list once again. So I believe with all the examples we've gone through, I've covered the various list methods that we have in Python. However, there are some other Python functions that allows for manipulation of lists. Like I said, earlier on I gave the length function, so that can also allow us to check the content of a list. We have things like enumerate, we have filter, we have the map function, we have the filter, and all of those things. I will be covering them in another video. I'm dedicating this video to the list method as well as list comprehensions. So moving on to list comprehensions. So what are list comprehension? A list comprehension is an inbuilt concise and syntactic way of creating a list based on an existing data collection type or data structure, or possibly an array. So what this means is that a list comprehension helps us to create a list from another content. So let's say we have a dictionary of names of students and score. Okay, let's wait. Add the prints. Prints have a 40 and 26. Solani has 90. Alright, so this is a dictionary containing the student name as a key and the value of scores, of their various scores. So now we want to create a list of students that scored 50 and above we could use a list comprehension to create that. So let's say students names with 50 and above, or let's just call it 50. Okay, student names. All right, so we could use a list comprehension of okay, then we have a key. Let's do it this way. Key for key comma value and student score. What this means is it checks, because in a dictionary we have the key and we have the value, so we're looping through this through the student score. The student score is a dictionary in itself. So for key comma value in the student score, so like the list comprehension also allows for, okay, let's check this out. Okay, okay, what am I missing here? For key comma value and okay, all right. And items. Oh, what am I missing? Dictionary dot items. All right. So, so just to show you what students dot items. These are dictionary methods. So, oh, what exactly am I doing? Student score. All right. Student score. The items. So what this does, as you can see, is that it creates a tuple of the key and the value. All right. So this is exactly what we're trying to go through here. So we are saying that give us the key for key comma value in students. Just give us the key alone. All right. So if we call student names now, student names, then we have, okay, this is all the student names available. Of course, there is a dictionary method that allows us to get that. We could call the keys and why am I making this mistake? Students score dot keys. Okay, so we get the, and you could just wrap the list around it just to get it out. All right, so I mean, this is what I meant. So you can get the name. So this is not exactly what we want to do. We want to check this out. All right, if this is what we wanted to, this is one of the beauty of, you know, the list comprehension. It allows us to add a conditional statement inside of the list comprehension. So if value, okay, is greater than or equals to 50, all right, so if we check student names now, we get Tade and Tolani. So that means that let's check our student score once again. Students score, that means Tade and Tolani are the only two persons in this dictionary that had, you know, a score of 50 and above. So just to go over what a list comprehension is again. A list comprehension is an inbuilt way, or it's a concise and syntactic way for creating a list that is based on an existing data collection. So it's pretty much very handy when you want to like create your list without, you know, writing the for loop, append to list, blah blah. So it just on just a single line you could wrap everything together. So the list takes the variable name, then the square bracket, so the value that you want, then the for loop, and you know, the conditional statement. It's however optional. If you don't want to, it's fine. So this is more like the formula for getting the list comprehension. So I hope in this video I've been able to like properly explain to you what the lists are, the various list methods that we have, and you know how to use your list comprehension. So if you have any question regarding this video, please do well to drop your views in the comment section. I will reply to them as soon as possible, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.